It's another episode of the Gary and Mark Show, and I'm Gary.
And I'm Mark. And we have guests with us today.
We have a very special guest with us today.
Dee Dee.
Dee Dee.
She looks even better than usual.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Dee Dee.
Thank you.
And actually, welcome back to all of us. We've been it's been weeks since we've had a podcast, so we are happy to be back. This is episode number 41. So before we get too far into the show, Gary, anything? Well, you know what? We do have something, Dee Dee. Gary has become a granddad since the last time we were here.
That's right.
He is a granddad.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So what's the baby's name? I know it's a girl.
Lily Jen Eblin Donovan.
Okay.
The Jen is not with a G, it's J-I-N. She had a Korean grandma, so it's kind of homage to the Korean grandma.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
And she came in at 6 pounds, 4.5 ounces.
Is that about the average size, or is that small?
I think it's a little small. She was
nice.
about 3.5 weeks early.
Okay. Because Dee Dee there, back in her old Mary days, she had this girl. How big was she when she was born?
7 pounds flat.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So how's life changed over at your house? Has it for you, or
Well, because of the COVID thing, I mean,
Uh-huh.
I can't pick up the baby and play with her yet or any. I got to pull on her toes. She has 10 toes. Basically what we do, they live 10 miles away. And, her husband, he's working full time, though he got to take time off. We cook food about 2 times a week and take it over there. Look at the baby, poke her, pull on her toes.
Well, I've seen some pictures. She's looking very alert already. I mean,
Well, and she's grasping with her left hand. So if she's going to be a left-handed tennis player, that's okay with me.
yeah. Actually, I saw your daughter's picture in the on Facebook yesterday for winning some award or recognition.
High school coach of the year. How about
Okay.
that?
Congratulations.
Yep.
All right. Well, Gary, before we get started with the rest of the show, anything in history this week,
Oh,
month, or
boy.
whatever? Oh, you got
And
some.
I looked up, I thought, well, we'll skip Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Or John Lennon getting shot. Let's kind of, like Monty Python, always look on the bright side of life. 1901, December 12, Marconi sends a signal from Cornwall, England, a radio transmission all the way to Newfoundland. 1901. And you know what the content of the transmission was? It was the letter S in Morse code, which is ...
He was just testing it out.
Just trying to get a transmission, and look where we are 19 years later.
And isn't he considered the inventor of radio? Is that right?
Yeah, I reckon he is.
Well, it sounds like he had one.
Okay, here's another one.
Okay.
1913. The Mona Lisa was recovered. It had been stolen, and it was recovered and put back in the Louvre, and they found it in Florence, Italy, in this Italian waiter's apartment. How about that?
Now, is he the one who had taken it, or
I
they don't know?
I haven't dug any deeper into that. Like, hey, I didn't know I had the Mona Lisa. Are you kidding? I
That
don't
painting's
know.
a lot smaller than you think it is.
Yeah,
Yeah. Have you seen it, Dee Dee?
I have.
I have too. Have you, Gary?
no,
It's tiny. It's only
Huh.
about yay big.
yeah. Oh, okay.
It takes
Well,
about 3
there's that
hours. It takes about 3 hours in that museum to find it, though. It is such
Oh.
a huge place. Yeah.
You can't get anywhere near it either.
Yeah.
That's because of this Italian waiter. Yeah. All right, here you go. 1925 in, how do you say it? Is it San Luis Obispo,
I have no clue.
California?
Oh.
Kind of halfway between LA and San Francisco. The first motel.
Really?
How about that?
Hmm.
You want to know what the rate was
$1.
a night? You're only off by $1.25.
What year was that?
1925.
And is that museum? I mean, is that motel still there, like as a museum?
Again, I just got,
Yeah. You just found these things up.
yeah. It's
I always
probably.
that's kind of history I like to hear. I like folklore.
Oh, I got one more now. This one's.
Okay.
Well, let's do one birthday for December 12th. Well, we could do two. Edward G. Robinson,
Mm-hmm.
and whose role in the Ten Commandments I still crack up. I mean, when's the last time y'all saw Cecil B. DeMille's Ten Commandments?
Well, it usually comes on every year, so probably see parts of it.
It is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
It
Well.
is. And after Charlton Heston sees the burning bush, how his hair, and it's like that wrestler evangelist hair. It changes. And I think it was the inspiration for a lot of evangelists and wrestler hair. But I'm getting off the subject. Other birthday, Frank Sinatra, 1915.
Wow. I think I saw something about that just in the news the other day. Probably
And
getting ready.
here's one more for December 14, since we all live in the South. NASCAR was founded.
Wow, that many years ago.
1947.
So was it called NASCAR at the time?
Once again, I don't,
You don't know. You just look up. Yeah, you just like me. You want to know. Yeah, you just want the headlines.
Started in Florida because I think they raced on the beach in Daytona. I'm not sure.
I'll be right. And I always was told they got their start in North Carolina by people running moonshine.
Drivers. Yeah, practice. Yeah.
They probably still have moonshine up this way.
But now it's legal,
That's true.
Yeah.
So, speaking of moonshiners and things, Watershed probably still has some. Don't you think? Do you know?
Except now that it's legal.
What do you mean it's legal? I mean, I know there's stores that say they sell moonshine, but when you say legal, it's because they can make it and sell it and it gets taxed.
It's bonded. Yeah, it's not. You're talking about untaxed. Dee would know more about that than I would.
I think these days they're turning the moonshine into hand sanitizer.
I just saw a place that had a whole bunch of hand sanitizer and it says made by some distillery on the bottom.
Right. Yeah.
I guess they do have lots of alcohol in those places. Well, we finished a big election down in Watershed.
Watershed, yeah.
And we don't even need to get into the presidential part because that's old news now.
Oh, yeah.
But it's still big news with the mayor race with Mayor Thomas.
Yeah.
So, and we did have one poll watcher there. You know who that is? Our own Eddy.
Yeah.
So, Eddy, I mean, I don't know how many people voted, but was it a busy day?
It was right busy, yeah.
Did you have to do any official poll watching things, like tell people to back off or don't watch over his shoulder or something while he's voting or she's voting?
All I have to do when I'm anywhere is just, make eye contact.
All it takes.
That's all it takes. Every once in a while, I got to do one of these.
Yeah.
Now, is Watershed like that place in New Hampshire where there's only 7 voters, and so as soon as all 7 have voted, they can go home? Or
We got a few more than that.
A few more than that. So, Gary, what happened with the election, the original count? Do you remember?
Well, I think it was, you had the incumbent. That's
Mayor Thomas.
Mayor, and I think the original count, wasn't he got something like 17 votes?
Something like that.
And then the opposition had 16 votes.
That's pretty close.
So they asked for a recount.
Yeah, I would too. One vote part.
You need a kind of a nonpartisan group to do that. And so, of course, they called on the Gary and Mark Podcasting University.
You know what? Who else would they call on?
Yeah.
And we employ Eddy.
We've got our security person, who's also our insecurity person.
Yep.
And she let her take it from there. What happened, Eddy?
Yeah.
On the recount.
I mean, it's kind of tough asking everybody to come back in and go through the ballots again, and a couple of them was a little chicken scratched, but everybody put the heads together and cooperated in a right nice way and came up with the same numbers we had the first time,
So Mayor Thomas kept his position.
just barely.
So did the opposition, any of them, like getting their big pickup trucks with big flags and drive around and try and raise a commotion, or?
Well, I asked my girls to just, pepper themselves outside a little bit. Once we knew we were going to have a recount, I asked those girls just to, come set up on their bikes and they didn't report anything untoward to me.
So, I mean, how expensive is it to run a recount when you have 33 total votes?
It weren't too expensive. I mean, it only took, I'd say an hour and a half, just because, like I said, a couple of them was a little ambiguous. Somebody hadn't filled that circle in just right, but it was still clear to whom they were casting their vote.
So you didn't have to do like that thing we saw on back in Al Gore and that
Hanging chads.
hanging chads, yeah, holding a magnifying glass and no,
Worry about if it gets thrown out, if it's with a magic marker,
right?
or
No,
some lined paper.
We made sure as people was coming in to vote, they had the right kind of pen and that they understood. But some of them folks is a little shaky, hard to keep in the circle like that. Or maybe they just never learned that in kindergarten, how to stay in the lines.
That's true. Many of them probably as far as they got in school, kindergarten, so they didn't have a lot of practice. I mean, you stay in the school long enough with all those standardized tests, you learn to stay in the bubble.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, they need a different system because that is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So have you heard from Mayor Thomas? Has he made any sort of victory speech of some sort?
I mean, Mayor Thomas is batting 1,000 in his communication direct with me, which is to say he don't talk to me.
Yeah, but y'all get along. You once said y'all had, he has no beef with you, and
well, he best not have a beef with me.
Or the Wicked Women of Watershed motorcycle gang, that none of you.
Right. He has reached out to me once on email, asked us to put mufflers on our bikes, which we did. But he if he sees me coming, he ducks out the other way.
Well, I do the same thing normally. That's why it's nice to have this Zoom.
On the bike, that's all part of his. I heard he has this whole program he wants to institute, which he calls the Peace in the Valley program. Mufflers on bikes, and he's trying to do away with leaf blowers. And trying to make sure that every family actually has a rake, and that someone in the family knows how to actually use a rake.
Yeah, that's a skill that's been lost on a lot of people.
Because the noise, the leaf blower noise, and then there's another group that says this, imposes on their freedom.
What, not being able to use a leaf blower? Mm-hmm.
Well, I got a solution for that. Leave the leaves where they are. And that's why they're called leave. Just leave them.
That's why Dee Dee is in charge of security and other stuff. She just with the wisdom of Solomon.
That's right.
She just split the baby.
I never thought of leaves having that name because of that.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Just leave them. They're good for the grass. If you're worried about your lawn, leave the leaves. It's going to fertilize them. Come spring, when you do that first mow, you're going to chop them up into compostable bits. It's going to be great.
What if they're like 6 inches on your ground? They're like, I just fenced in backyard and my leaves won't go anywhere unless I mow them.
Well, you need to leave them because that's where all the little bugs overwinter. All the caterpillars and butterflies are going to come up out of those leaves. It actually helped keep down the poison ivy. I got a fact for you.
I love facts.
Why you can dig out in your backyard and you get earthworms. You know that they are not indigenous to this country.
No.
How did they get here?
They got here.
I bet the Japanese brought them over here.
No, it was before we even knew about the Japanese people, I believe. They came over in the ballast of the British ships.
Really?
They brought over rocks and dirt to keep the boats from tipping over because they would come over empty and fill up and go back. They dump all the ballast out here. and that ballast was full of European worms. That's why back in the day, the forests were just deep with leaves, and the leaves weren't breaking down because we didn't have any earthworms. And once we got all these earthworms, that's when you start having problems with things like poison ivy and Virginia creeper and stuff like that. The leaves are keeping all that stuff down.
Well, how about that? That is a good fact.
And it explains why a lot of people can't understand the thing what earthworm says, because they're not speaking English.
You know, if we have a science teaching job open at the university, I think we have our new chairperson.
I think we do.
I mean, we do.
Well, I know a lot about worms.
Well, that's probably a good subject right there for a whole class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vermiculture, right?
Yeah, culture. I like that. So let me ask you, Dee Dee, we haven't been to campus in a while. We're trying to social distance. You're down there checking on the property and everything. I was told that a monolith appeared.
It did.
So what's the story behind that? Do you know?
I got no idea how that thing got there. I did a circuit of campus. It wasn't there. I came back around and there it was. It was sitting right there in the middle of everything.
So how tall is it?
I'd say 12,
Ooh.
12, 14 feet high, real shiny.
So I wonder, and since we don't have our marketing person with us right now, but is that a way we could raise some money for the Gary and Mark Podcasting University? You think that could be a tourist attraction?
I mean, I think it could be, but not during COVID.
Well, that's true, but they could see it from their car, right? What if we put some green and red and Christmassy lights shining on it?
Leave that thing alone. Somebody put it there to look like it looks. I don't think you need to festoon it.
What does it look? Does it look good?
I mean, it looks kind of like a roll of aluminum foil stood on end, except it's squared off, you know?
Could we like take a picture of it and turn that into a postcard?
That's an idea.
That we could sell?
I think you could try.
I think that's a good idea.
I wonder how much money we could get with selling postcards.
People give us $1. What do you think? $2? $2? I don't know. Postcards are expensive these days.
Yeah, they are.
Actually, when's the last time you got a postcard in the mail? Well, I got a bunch during the election. I got about 6 a day.
Boy. Like a picture postcard like we used to send all the time. Wish you were here.
Yeah.
We should. All right, that's something we're going to get. Dee Dee, you take some pictures on your cell phone.
Okay.
We'll work on us a postcard. We'll sell them on the website, which is GaryandMark.com.
Yeah.
Make some money for university.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, because the recount, I thought we were supposed to get some money from the recount that
well, normally the candidate who wants it, insists it gets done, has to come up with some money to pay for it.
No, I think people think of that as their civic duty. I don't think they're expecting any cash.
That's good. Yeah, well, like you said, 33 votes doesn't take all that long to count them. You probably could have counted them 4 or 5 times and been done.
You're just lucky nobody's suing you for getting a paper cut or something.
That's true. Boy, these times.
Yeah,
I know.
Lakes out there.
Well, I mean, back to that monolith, Gary and Mark Podcasting University doesn't have a lot of fancy buildings yet or any signature like architecture or things. Like I know in Chapel Hill, there's the old well, and at Duke, there's a chapel. So maybe this could be the Gary and Mark Podcasting symbol.
That could be the symbol. Oh, I like that.
On the corporate collegiate seal, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We know anybody who's actually, we do know someone who's a graphic artist or an artist, don't we, Gary? Because grandma. His wife Barbara can come up with this.
A rendering of the.
A rendering. You put her in charge of that, Gary.
Well,
good luck with that.
Or and if we can't get her, how about in there like a courtroom artist?
That's true.
Like they have with the courthouse down there.
Those could be pretty realistic. We can have it stylized. We'll work on that. Dee Dee, good idea. You get some picture on campus.
That's why she's in charge of security.
Yep. So that's good. We don't want anybody messing with that thing. So you might need to get your team out there around it 24/7.
Keep your hands off my monolith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my cold dead hands.
Yeah. So anything else going on? Anybody can think of?
Now,
No.
other than the that Peace in the Valley thing, and but sounds
Yeah.
like
We'll have a follow up on that. That's
Yeah.
going to be interesting because I mean I have a leaf blower and I know it makes a lot of racket. I don't have many neighbors too close by and haven't complained, but I would if I was, right next to someone, especially if they crank it up at 6:30 in the morning.
Well, I'm sure all of us grew up in where we grew up. You didn't ever run any kind of course, you didn't have leaf blowers, but nobody would be cutting their grass with an electric mower on a Sunday.
That's true.
It just wouldn't happen.
You know what? Around where I live, people pretty much still go by that, I think.
Yeah.
I'll hear the guns going off on a Sunday. I'm not sure what they're doing, but don't leave.
Well, yeah, I guess target practice because there's still no hunting in Watershed on Sunday.
I'm glad to hear that. Mayor Thomas has insisted on that, and that's a good rule, I think.
But that move to both open up hunting on Sunday and have liquor stores open on Sunday. That's a great combination.
Oh, yeah. I can keep Eddy busy for weeks just getting prepared for a Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ever thought about running for sheriff, Eddy, or you just like being a security guard good enough?
I don't necessarily hold truck with the same rules that the sheriff's got to abide by.
Well, that's a good point.
I got my own set of morals and code of conduct.
Yep, I bet yours are better than a lot of sheriffs. I don't know, but
I'd like to think. I mean, I try only to, bust heads of people who deserve it.
So when's the last time you busted a head?
Well, it's been a while because I don't want to get near nobody. I'm afraid they're going to cough on me or something.
I'm going to tell you, these numbers are staggering.
It's bad. I mean,
it is.
It's going up, and poor hospitals are just overburdened. And, majority of the people who are dying are healthcare workers.
Well, we don't have a hospital down in Watershed. We got that retirement home, but Trails End, but
yeah, that's pretty much from there. It's just
the
Trails End all locked up, and you can't go visit your loved ones. You can stand in the parking lot and wave through the window, but
do we know they're still alive? I mean, do the people drive by and see them in there waving back? Okay, good.
The lights on, you can see some activity, and if your loved one knows you're coming, they can go up to the big picture window and stand there and wave at you.
That's probably the way it needs to be. I mean, I'm ready for this to get over like everyone else, but hopefully I'm going to get that shot when it comes my way. I'm planning on it.
Yeah.
You?
Yeah, looks like, I think folks are better about the mask thing.
I've noticed in stores around where I live, more and more. I mean, I can go in and see almost 100%.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't like it, but, it's definitely better.
It's taken a while for people up in the mountains to kind of twig to the fact that this thing is real.
I know. I mean, I still hear people think it's not real, and I say, just look at the numbers. Back in the early days, just like the flu, and now it's just staggering. Well, let's get off of that and kind of thank our sponsors here before we get too far along. It's been a while. You remember who our sponsors are, Gary?
Well, I remember there was Big Whizz Pocket Buddy.
That's right, our very first one. And then we have our Saluda Outfitters, Green River Eddy.
I drove by there the other day, or in the evening.
Okay.
And the lights were on. Looked like they had some people there out on the deck. It wasn't, the weather was acceptable. So.
Oh, good. Well, I hope they do well. I know they need some people to come by. Saluda Outfitters in Saluda, North Carolina. We've got Rabbit Island Resort.
Yeah. That's on lockdown.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
You got LJ Meyers and his White Dove releases, and I don't know, they fly pretty close together, so I don't know if he's able to send those out or not. But and we kind of got Iron Key Brewing Company too,
And Barbara and I stopped by there about 2 weeks ago.
How are they doing?
They were busy, but
good.
Indoors there's plenty of space in between the tables, and outdoors same way.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because I haven't been there since we did our podcast there last podcast.
And I had another round of fish and chips.
All right, that is good. It's open today. I'm gonna have to go there this weekend. Yeah. Well, Dee's good seeing you again.
Yeah.
Back.
Yeah. great to have Gary back, and glad that he's a granddad, looking good. We'll have to have the baby on at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Diddy's going to take a
And
picture.
the monolith. Maybe the next one we have the baby.
And we have a series of postcards.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, I want to thank everybody for being here. Check out www.garyandmark.com. And you can email us at garyandmarkshow@gmail.com. We get about one email every 9 or 10 weeks. Yeah, we got one the other day. I didn't even know it because I didn't even check. Because I'm not used to checking because we don't get many. So everybody have a good week, you folks. And out there in Radio Land, listening to us or watching us on YouTube, make sure you check us in both places. And I am Mark.
I'm Gary.
And you are?
I'm Dee Dee.
And we are the Gary and Mark Show. And we are out.